Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam नम ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So welcome to the bhaktisashtri Isopanisad discussion. In the last class we completed discussing mantra 15 where there is a transition. This last section, that is from mantra 16 to 19, is prayers to the Ishwar by the devotee. So we saw that overview also, and we discussed mantra 15 also. So today we will discuss mantra 16. So let us share the screen. Pushane karishaya yama surya prajapatya व्यूहरश्मिन् समूह तेजो यत्ते रूपं कल्याणतमं तत्ते पश्यामि योऽसावसो पुरुष सोऽहम् अस्मि. So this is a different meter compared to the regular meter of the recitation of the Ishopanishads verses. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam. So like that we recite, but this is in a different meter. Ushan Ekarishaya Yamasurya Prajapatyam Vayu Rashmin Samuha Tejo Tatte Rupam Kalyanatamam Tatte Pashyami Yo Sava Aso Purusha Soham Asmi. O my Lord, O primeval philosopher, Ekarishaya, maintainer of the universe, Pushan. Again, this term Pushan had come in the previous mantra also. O regulating principle, Yama. Destination of the pure devotees, that is Surya. Well wisher of the progenitors of mankind, Prajapati. Please remove the effulgence of your transcendental rays. View her Rashmin Samoha so that I can see you. Tatte Pashami Yo Aso. Your form of bliss. Tejo Tatte Rupam Kalyanatamam. So the form of the Lord is called as Kalyanatamam. You are the eternal supreme personality of Godhead, like the sun, Aso Purusha, as am I. So Ham Asmi. So the link between previous mantra and this mantra, that is 15 and 16, is the same prayer continues describing the nature of the Lord with a devotional element added to it. The Rishi further beseeches the Lord's mercy so that ultimately he can uncover the dazzling effulgence. It was mentioned that uh, I want to say Mukam Te Pashami, in the previous mantra. Hiranyame Patrena Satyasyapihitam Mukham, it was mentioned. So now he wants to see that form uh, of bliss. So further, the nature of the Lord and the attributes of the Lord are given, and he is beseeching the mercy of the Lord. So now let's, the overview we have seen of the last section in the previous class, so I will not again discuss it. So let us now go into uh, Srila Madhvacharya's commentary on this, because for each of the terms, Madhvacharya gives a very interesting explanation. Vishnu is called Ekarishi, Ekarisha, because he is the principal form of knowledge. He is called Yama because he controls everything. Yamaraj is the regulating, and he is regulating on behalf of Krishna. But ultimately, the name Yamaraj also is derived from Krishna. Like Shiva is auspiciousness, and this name is derived from Krishna. Krishna is all auspicious. So, like that, Yama, in an absolute sense, is also referring to Krishna. He's called Surya because he's the goal of the devotees, Suris. So that's why Surya. So here also in the translation uh, we saw this translation. Prabhupada so precisely is translating destination of the pure devotees. So that's how Prabhupada in his translation gives precise explanation. He is called Prajapatya because he is particularly the goal of Prajapati Brahma. So this refers to specifically Prajapati Brahma. He is called Aham because he cannot be discarded. Not her, discard. So that's the root meaning Aham. He is called Ashmi, situated in all beings because of his regard for the Jiva's eternal existence. But the Supreme Lord also remains separate from all jivas. So that's the explanation Madhvacharya gives, some of the attributes of the Lord which are described in this verse. Now let's go to Baldev Vidyabhushan's commentary. Baldev Vidyabhushan's commentary is a little interesting, and it throws a more light into the flow of this particular mantra, and the explanation is also quite insightful. Clarifying the nature of the Lord, the Rishi prays again in this verse. So this is the link between previous mantra and this mantra. O nourisher of devotee. So Baldev Vidyabhushan gives a more intimate, deeper understanding. Maintainer of the universe. That was the translation, but he mentions Pushan as nourisher of the devotee, like Poshanam, Atra Sarga Visarga Sthanam Poshanam. Poshanam means one who maintains the devotees, protects the devotee. The supreme revealer of mantra, Ekarishaya, controller of the universe, Yama, worshipped by the devotees, Surya, descendant of Prajapati, Prajapatya. So that's how Baldev Vidyabhushan translates this. Displaying, view her, your splendor, Rashmim, contract, Samua, your form, Tejas, and bestow knowledge to me. Or the sentence can mean, withdraw, view her, the rays which obstruct my vision and take away Samua, your effulgence, Teja. So that's the alternative meaning for Vyuha Rashmin Samoha Teja. Then I will be able to see your form, which is most beautiful or auspicious. Kalyanatama. By your mercy. Tatte Rupam Te. This is indicated by Te. Next, he explains in which manner one can see that form. That person who is situated in the sun is also situated in a separate form. I become that person. So, aham. Prabhupada is to many times give this explanation. uh, if you want to be in the sun planet, you know, you need a body which is made of fire element. Then you can be in the sun planet. Similarly, the Lord is absolutely pure, and we also have to become pure in order to see the Lord. So the jiva has to ultimately become pure, and then he can see that form. Next, he explains in which manner one can see that form. That person who is situated in the sun is also situated in a separate form. I become that person. So, aham. Now, this can be interpreted, the Mayavadi interpretation can be done for this, but the Vaishnava understanding is very clear. Baldev Devbhushan makes it further clarified. According to Baldev's commentary on Vedanta Sutra 3346, the phrase Soham, which is also found in Gopal Upanishads as well as others, does not mean absolute identity of the devotee and God, but rather is an emotional expression uttered by the devotee when absorbed in intense devotion. So, just like the mother might say to the child, "You are my life and soul." So, it doesn't mean that the child soul and the mother soul is one. They are different entities. Similarly, the absolute truth is also supreme soul, and the individual soul is the soul, but they become one in identity when there is, intense devotion. But this is not the absolute. This is not the oneness which the Mayavadis, have that conception. This is not in that sense. Shankara explains Soham as identity of self with Brahman. So this is Shankaracharya's explanation. But according to Vaishnava understanding, this is the right understanding. Okay. Any questions, clarifications up till now about Madhvacharya's attributes about the absolute truth and Baldev Vidyabhushan's short commentary which we discussed just now? Anyone has any questions? Okay, so now we will go to Srila Prabhupada's commentary, and this is the main themes in his commentary. This is the overview of Mantra 6. Vyuha Rashmin, beyond Brahman is Bhagwan, paragraphs 1 and 2. So let us discuss paragraphs 1 and 2. Okay, so who will read paragraphs 1 and 2? Who will read both paragraphs 1 and 2? Who will read? Any volunteers, or I'll have to select? Any volunteers? No volunteers? Okay, 2 are there, 3 are there now. Okay, Devhuti Kapil Prabhuji has first raised his hand, so we'll give him chance. Yes, I will share the screen.
Hare Krishna Guruji.
Yes.
The sun and its rays are one and the same qualitatively. Similarly, the Lord and the living entities are one and the same in quality. The sun is one, but the molecules of the sun's rays are innumerable. The sun's rays constitute part of the sun, and the sun and its rays conjointly constitute the complete sun. Within the sun itself resides the sun god, And similarly, within the supreme spiritual planet Goloka Vrindavana, from which the Brahmajyoti effulgence is emanating, the Lord enjoys his eternal pastimes as verified in Brahma Samhita 5.29. Chintamani Prakara Sadmashu Kalpa Vriksha Laksha Vristeshu Surabhir Abhipala Abhipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Sambhrama Sevyamanam Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. The Brahma Jyoti is described in the Brahma Samhita as the rays emanating from that supreme spiritual planet Goloka Vrindavana, just as the sun's rays emanate from the sun globe. Until one surpasses the glare of the Brahma Jyoti, one cannot receive information of the land of the Lord. The impersonalist philosophers, blinded as they are by dazzling, the impersonalist philosophers, blinded as they are by the dazzling Brahma Jyoti, can realize neither the factual abode of the Lord nor his transcendental form. Limited by their poor fund of knowledge, such impersonalist thinkers cannot understand the all blissful transcendental form of Lord Krishna. In this prayer, therefore, Sri Isopanisad petitions the Lord to remove the effulgent rays of the Brahmajyoti so that the pure devotee can see his all blissful transcendental form.
Okay,
Yeah.
continue.
By realizing the impersonal Brahmajyoti, one experiences the auspicious aspect of the Supreme, and by realizing the Paramatma, or all-pervading feature of the Supreme, one experiences an even more auspicious enlightenment. But by meeting the personality of Godhead himself face to face, the devotee experiences the most auspicious feature of the Supreme. Since he is addressed as the primeval philosopher and maintainer and well-wisher of the universe, the supreme truth cannot be impersonal. This is the verdict of Sri Isha Upanishad. The word Pushan, maintainer, is especially significant, for although the Lord maintains all beings, he specifically maintains his devotees. After surpassing the impersonal Brahma Jyoti and seeing the personal aspect of the Lord and his most auspicious eternal form, the devotee realizes the absolute truth in full.
In full, yeah. So Prabhupada begins his commentary by first, showing how beyond Brahman is Bhagwan. And his commentary is very insightful, where Prabhupada does a comparative analysis of the sun and the sun rays. Now, what are the, if you draw a table, what are the differences which Prabhupada is pointing out between the sun and the sun rays? Anyone? It's there here, but what are the different points he brings out in this paragraph? Who will answer? At least three are there. I hope my question is clear. This comparison of the sun and sun rays, there are differences also. So what are the differences Prabhupada is bringing out in this particular first paragraph? Yes, Lata Mataji. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
So Prabhupada is mentioning here, sun is one, but the rays are innumerable.
Yeah, this is, between sun and the rays, sun is one, the sun rays are innumerable.
Innumerable.
So, yeah, then.
And then they are, both of them are same qualitatively. That's not a difference.
Difference, correct. Yeah, that's not a difference, correct. Okay, then.
Sun rays are part of the sun.
The sun rays are a part of the sun.
And the sun is like sun and sun rays together constitute the whole sun.
Correct.
And then
the sun, is independent in one sense. The sun rays are dependent. right?
Yes. And inside the sun, there is a sun god.
Okay.
And
So the sun rays, there is no sun god. Okay. Yes, these are the three differences. Interesting, very nice. So the sun and sun rays are qualitatively one. Similarly, the Lord and living entities. And here he brings out the difference. So this is Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. And in the Upanishads, you'll find there is, sometimes some of the Upanishadic verse focus on Bheda and some focus on the Abheda. The Mayavadis, just hit on the Abheda and they don't see the Bheda. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his works, especially Jaiva Dharma, he brings out this point that there are many verses or mantras which speak about Bheda and Abheda. But in principle, we should always remember that Bheda should be given emphasis because there is difference. They are one in quality, but different quantitatively. Prabhupada gives many, many examples. Here he is giving the example of sun and the sun rays. He speaks about a drop of water and the ocean of water. In the ocean, the ship can sail, right? But on a drop, the ship cannot sail. What to speak of sailing? The ship cannot also stand there. So qualitatively, the chemical analysis of the drop of the ocean and the ocean, qualitatively, the analysis will be the same, but quantitative wise, it is different. So, and then Prabhupada brings a deeper point that just how within the sun there is a sun god, similarly within the Brahma Jyoti, within that, after you surpass that, there is the supreme, there are Vaikuntha planets, and the capital of the Vaikuntha planets is the supreme spiritual planet, Golok Vrindavan. So from Golok Vrindavan, from the body of the Lord, Kanti, the Brahma Jyoti effulgence is emanating. And Prabhupada quotes this famous verse, Chintamani Prakara Sadma Kalpa Vruksha. And he's enjoying his pastimes. That pastimes enjoyment is mentioned here. But in other verses of the Brahma Samhita, the Yasya Prabhavatho, that Jagadanda Koti, there it is mentioned how it is the bodily effulgence of the Lord. And Prabhupada again further mentions that the Brahma Jyoti is emanating from Golok Vrindavan, just like the sun rays emanate from the sun. And Prabhupada makes this point very important. Until one is able to surpass the Brahma Jyoti, one cannot understand the land of the Lord. That is the Vaikuntha or the Golok Vrindavan. And the impersonalists are blinded by this Brahma Jyoti. And that's why the Rishi is praying. And we spoke about two types of blindness. Again, with the example of the sun in our last class. So who remembers? Raise your hand. Devhuti Kapil Prabhu, I'll take your question a little later. Just let me finish this explanation of paragraph 1 and 2, and then I'll take your question. So there are two kinds of blindness, ignorance, and we had given the example of the sun. Who remembers? Raise your hand. Again, Lata Mataji. What is the answer?
Prabhu, can you repeat the question, Prabhu? I don't remember.
We mentioned that there is two kinds of ignorance. One is ignorance about the Lord's existence. That is also darkness. And then, being self-realized also, you can still be in darkness. And we had given the example of the sun there again. So Prabhupada is explaining here, that the impersonalists are blinded by the dazzling. So what is this blindness? Two types of blindness are there.
Prabhu, I don't remember.
Any others? Anyone else remembers? So there is one kind of blindness when it is dark in the night. Prabhupada mentions that when it is dark, you cannot see yourself, what to speak. You cannot see your own hand. You need the sun. So that is ignorance. And when the sun just starts rising, the darkness is destroyed. Ignorance is destroyed. So you can see yourself, you can see everything around you. So this is being in knowledge. So the blindness is because of darkness. The second kind of blindness which the Gyanis have is when the same sun which has already risen and it is on the top of the head, and if you want to see that, because of the intense heat which is in the mid afternoon on a hot day, with your eyes you cannot see, it causes a blindness. So the Gyanis who are attracted to the dazzling Brahman effulgence, they are also having the second kind of blindness. Because until this dazzling effulgence is there, you cannot see any, beyond that there is a form. So this also causes blindness. You cannot see the sun in the mid afternoon. You have to close your eyes. So that's what Prabhupada is speaking here. This is because of their limited, poor fund of knowledge. And then Prabhupada in this second paragraph, he mentions Kalyanatah, Kalyantara, and Kalyanatama. Kalyanata is realizing the Brahman aspect of the Absolute Truth. Kalyantara is realizing the Paramatma aspect of the Absolute Truth. And Kalyanatama is realizing the Bhagavan aspect of the Absolute Truth. And then Prabhupada explains the term Pushan here. Maintains all beings, living beings, and then Prabhupada gives specifically his devotees. This is what Baldev Vidyabhushan also had mentioned. Okay, so discussed paragraph 1 and 2, and there was one question by Devahuti Kapil Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in the third line of the first paragraph, Prabhupada mentions the sun's rays constitute part of the sun,
Yes.
and the sun and its rays conjointly constitute the complete
Complete
sun.
sun.
So
Yes.
Krishna is full in himself, right? He doesn't need our seva or us to complete him, right? We understand
No.
part and
See,
parcel. How do we
when
understand this? We
the
can
absolute truth definition, is Krishna along with all his expansions. Just like when you say king, Prabhupada says, king means queen, king means ministers, king means kingdom, and king means also all the, what is it called? Praja. What is Praja, we can say. So all the residents who are residing in the kingdom. So that is the complete definition of the absolute truth. So this is the deeper understanding of the definition of the absolute truth. Prabhupada speaks about this in the Bhagavad Gita introduction. Very interesting definition of the absolute truth he gives. Let me see. Complete whole. Complete whole. That's what the Prabhupada mentions. The complete whole comprises of the absolute truth, his energies, his part and parcels, everything. So that is the definition of the complete. Oh, I'm not able to get absolute truth. Let us see. Oh, I'm selecting here. Introduction, it is there. Yeah. Let us see whether. Yes. Complete whole is comprised of the supreme controller. Oh, where is it gone? The complete whole is comprised of the supreme controller, that is Krishna, the controlled living entities, that is the jivas, the cosmic manifestation, the Bhairanga Shakti, Kala, Karma, activities, and all this. Of these, the complete form of the complete whole, and the complete whole is called as a supreme absolute truth. The complete whole and the complete absolute truth are the complete personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. All manifestations are due to his different energies. He is the complete wholes. This is a deeper understanding we should have. We just cannot say only king. King means queen, ministers, subjects, kingdom. All have to be there. I hope it is clear.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. It's kind of, we understand that we don't lose our identity, right? But from a Mayavadi
No,
standpoint, they can, misinterpret.
no, we are part and parcel of Krishna. The sun means the sun rays also.
Hmm.
The sun rays, the sun orb, everything. It's not just only sun. So Krishna means Krishna's devotees also, Krishna's energies.
Mhm.
There
Okay.
are, the jiva is also the energy, the material energy is also the energy,
Mm.
and the internal potency is also the energy. So all is included in the definition of the absolute truth.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Any other questions anyone has? Virendra Yadav Prabhuji, yes.
Hare Krishna,
Voice,
Prabhu,
voice, yeah.
Prabhu, Prabhu, from devotee's perspective, what is me? What what do we understand by this removal of this? I mean, this Brahma Jyoti or clearing on the effulgence. What is meaning of this from devotee's perspective?
It's basically the, removal of ignorance about the understanding of the absolute truth, that the absolute truth is, a person, in his feature as Bhagwan. So he's not impersonal, but he's a person. So it's basically the uh, removal of ignorance. Jnanena tuta jagyanam, yesham nashitana atmana, tesham adityavajnanam, prakashayati tatparam. In the Bhagavad Gita, as it is mentioned, I think 5.16. So it's basically the removal of ignorance
Right.
and
Thank
getting the right understanding of the absolute truth. Vadanti tattva vidas tattvam yadjnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabhyate. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so let's continue now. Paragraph 3 and 4. Kalyanatama, Bhagavan is the most auspicious realization. Paragraphs 3 and 4. Who will read paragraphs 3 and 4? Paragraph 1 and 2 we have finished. 3 and 4. Who will read? Devhuti Kapil Prabhu had read. And somebody else also had raised their hand last time. Suryakonda Prabhuji, you had raised your hand?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, okay, read paragraph 3.
Uh,
You're able to see the screen? Hare Krishna. You're not ready, I think. Okay, Lata Mataji, you would also raise your hand. You can read.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. In Bhagavad Sandarbha, Sri Jiva Goswami states, the complete conception of absolute truth is realized in the personality of Godhead because he is almighty and possesses full transcendental potencies. The full potency of the absolute truth is not realized in the Brahma Jyoti. Therefore, Brahman realization is only the partial realization of the personality of Godhead. O learned sages, the first syllable of the word Bhagavan, Ba, has two meanings. The first is one who fully maintains, and the second is guardian. The second syllable Ga means guide, leader, or creator. The syllable Van means every being lives in him and that he also lives in every being. In other words, the transcendental sound Bhagavan represents infinite knowledge, potency, energy, opulence, strength, and influence, all without a tinge of material inebriety.
Next paragraph.
The Lord fully maintains his unalloyed devotees and he guides them progressively on the path toward devotional perfection. As a leader of his devotees, he ultimately awards the desired results of devotional service by giving himself to them. The devotees of the Lord see the Lord face to face by his causeless mercy. Thus, the Lord helps his devotee reach the supermost spiritual planet, Goloka Vrindavana. Being the creator, he can bestow all necessary qualification upon his devotees so that they can ultimately reach him. The Lord is a cause of all causes. In other words, since there is nothing that caused him, he is the original cause. Consequently, he enjoys his own self by manifesting his own internal potency. The external potency is not exactly manifested by him, for he expands himself as the Purushas. And it is in these forms that he maintains the feature of the material manifestation. By such expansions, he creates, maintains, and annihilates
The cosmic manifestation.
cosmic manifestation.
Okay. So Prabhupada explains the meaning of Bhagavan from the Bhagavad Sandarbha of Srila Jiva Goswami here. So here I think it is there in the slide. Shri Bhagavan. Bha is Bharta. Ga is Gamyate. Van is Vasati. So this is also Sri Jiva Goswami. Bhaga, one who reveals his opulence to the Jiva, therefore making the Jiva Bhagyavan is Bhagavan. Brahmande Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Paye Bhakti Lata. He is the Bharta, he is the goal, and he resides in all living beings. So this is Jiva Goswami's explanation. Kalyanatama is we discuss he is highest and the best destination. He helps devotees by bestowing his grace. Prabhupada speaks about in the purport if you saw. See, after explaining Bhagavan, here he maintains fully, the Lord fully maintains, Prabhupada says, his unalloyed devotees. Prabhupada in the Gita commentary, somewhere it comes up. The Lord personally takes care of the need of his pure devotees, he says. And Yogkshemya Vahamyaham. And he guides them towards perfection. He's the leader of the devotees, and ultimately he gives the result of devotional service, that is giving himself to his devotees. So this is in the Gita, Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yenamam Upayantite, by which they can come to me. And the devotees can see the Lord by his mercy and reach the ultimate supreme destination, Vrindavan, also by his mercy. And the Lord also bestows his Shakti to his devotees. Ultimately, he has to bestow his Ladini and Samvit Shakti, by which endowed with that, ultimately he can reach to the spiritual abode. And then Pushan, the second explanation of the Lord maintains, this maintenance is done by the Purushavatars. Prabhupada explains that. It is done by the Purushavatars. So here also in the slide, I think, no, it's not there. I think we have already covered that. So nothing much here in these two paragraphs. Everything is very clear. Now in the next paragraph, there is Pushan, how the Lord maintains devotees and everyone and everything else. I think this is covered. The paragraph numbering is something wrong. I think 1, 2. Oh, 2 is here. 1 and 2 is here. This is 3 and 4. This is paragraph 4. 5 is covered now. So I was also a little confused. 5 is covered. Pushan also paragraph we have covered. Sorry. Now, Soham Asmi. How the living entity is one yet different from the Lord. This is paragraph 6 and 7. So paragraph 6 and 7. Paragraph 6, paragraph 7. And this is paragraph 8. Correct. So paragraph 6 and 7. But before that, if you have any questions till now, what we have discussed, you can ask any questions, any clarifications. Okay, so let us now go through paragraph 6 and 7, the living entity. So who will read paragraph 6 and 7? Aarti Mataji, can you read? Yeah, I've unmuted you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, am I audible?
Yes.
The living entities are also differentiated expansions of the Lord's self, and because some of them desire to be lords and imitate the Supreme Lord, he allows them to enter into the cosmic creation with the option to fully utilize their propensity to lord it over nature. Because of the presence of his parts and parcels, the living entities, the entire phenomenal world is stirred into action and reaction. Thus, the living entities are given full facilities to lord it over material nature. But the ultimate controller is the Lord himself, in his plenary feature as Paramatma, the super soul, who is one of the Purusha. Prabhuji, shall I continue?
Yes, next paragraph also.
Thus, there is a gulf of difference between the living entity, Atma, and the controlling Lord, Paramatma, the soul, and the supreme and the super soul. Paramatma is the controller, and the Atma is the controlled. Therefore, they are in different categories. Because the Paramatma fully cooperates with the Atma, he is known as the constant companion of the living being.
Yeah. So where in the Isopanishads verse, one of the attributes of the Lord was mentioned, that he is the constant companion of the living being. Where it was discussed, anyone knows? Here it is there. Anyone knows? Raise your hands. He's the constant companion of the living beings. We have just now gone through it. At the beginning of the class only we discussed about it. Anyone? When we discussed Madhvacharya's explanation, if you remember, Asmi, he's called Asmi, situated in all beings because of his regard for the jivas. eternal. But the Supreme Lord also remains separate. That Prabhupada is mentioning the difference between the Atma and the Paramatma. So, which verses in the Gita, especially one chapter, bring out this difference between the Atma and Paramatma? Anyone knows the verses? One verse speaks about the Atma, and then after a few verses, the next speaks about the Paramatma. The difference. Anyone knows? Chapter 15. Arti Mataji, you can speak out where this, where in chapter 15, which verses speak about it? I've unmuted you.
Prabhuji, the verse Aham Vaishvanaro Putra. I may be wrong.
Oh no, Krishna is saying his Vibhuti, how I am there as a digestive fire. 15th chapter, you are correct. But which verse?
14th or 15th verse.
Sarvasya chaham ridhi sannivishto mattas pritirgyanam apoham cha. That verse?
Yes, that one. Yeah, and that one, and also I am present as digestive fire, as you said. Yeah.
No. That verse doesn't bring out the difference between Atma and Paramatma. Lata Mataji, yes.
Prabhu, is it 60?
16th verse speaks about what?
And there are two types of living being, fallible and infallible.
Yeah, they are speaking about Atma only there.
Okay.
Where is Paramatma spoken there? Yes, Atma is spoken, correct. Fallible. Then about Paramatma, where it is spoken again?
17th it is said, no Prabhu, but beside this
Yeah,
two, there is.
correct. Yes. That's what, who controls all. So 16, 17, and 18, the three Shloki Gita bring out. Any other chapter in the Gita? Anyone knows? In the Gita? Any other chapter in the Gita? Krishna brings out this difference between the Atma and the Paramatma. Anyone knows? Any other chapter? Virendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So there, where Krishna says what two kinds of kshetragya. One is.
Oh, excellent. There are two types of Kshetragyas. Yes, that is in the 13th chapter,
14.
right?
Yes.
13th chapter. Kshetragyam cha api mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetram iti abhidhiyate. Yes. This kshetra, the soul, is only residing in this body. But there is another kshetragya who is knower of all the bodies. Yes. Any other chapter of the Gita? Again, bring out the difference between Atma and Paramatma. Good, you're all doing well.
Ishvara Sarvbhutanam Hridayasirjam Tishtati, there also in 18th chapter.
That is okay. Then what about the Atma? Paramatma is.
Mama wants for Jivaloka books.
But this is 18th chapter and 15th chapter. I'm speaking in the same chapter. Okay, so what about nobody spoke about 13th chapter. In 13th chapter, the Atma, Purusha, the living entity, it is Prakriti. He is situated in the Prakriti and he is enjoying Prakriti, which is made of three gunas. And then Karana Gunasangas, because of his association, he is getting Sad Asad Yoni Janmasu. But in the next verse, the Paramatma is what? He is also situated, in Prakriti, but he is Upadrishta, he is Anumanta, and he's the Bharta, he's the maintainer, he's the enjoyer, he's the Maheshwar, and his name is Paramatma. Tehe Asmin Purusha, he's also residing along with the Purusha, but he's Para, he's transcendental. These two verses one after the other immediately bring out this difference. The one which Lata Mataji spoke also is there, 15.16 and 17 bring out that. So let's see the slide. So there are two kinds of expansions of the Lord. They are the Swamsha, which is the personal expansions, and then the Vibhinamsha. Now, the living, the I brought out the difference between the Lord and the living entity from these verses 13.22, 23, and then 15.16 and 17. We have not seen those verses. We'll see that immediately. But the Paramatma can play different roles. So in 13.23, he is neutral. For the ordinary living being, based on his punya karma, he might give the pious fruits. And if he has done a lot of papa karma, he will bestow the reactions. He's neutral. But for the transcendentalist, he acts as a guide from within. He changes his role. And for devotees, the same Paramatma gives rasa. When Krishna speaks this verse, Tesham satati yuktanam bhajatam priti purukam dadami buddhivogam tam yenamam upayantite. So when there is reciprocation by the Lord with the devotee, then there is exchange of rasa. So this is the different roles the Paramatma can play, as neutral, as a guide, as a Chaitya Guru, and then as in the form of rasa. Okay, I had this is the Trishloki Gita. Dvaimimam purusho loke sharakshara cha evacha shara sarvani bhutani kutasto akshara uchate. There are two conscious beings mentioned in the Vedas: the conditioned jivas, the liberated. The bound jivas are all these living entities with bodies. Shara sarvani bhutan. The liberated jiva is fixed with one form for all time. Kutastha akshara. Kutastha means he is situated on a transcendental. He is Brahma Bhuta. He is liberated. The next verse immediately speaks about Uttama Purusha tu Anya. But the highest person is different from this. So these are also Purushas. One is conditioned, one is liberated. And he is Paramatma Udharita. He's called as a Paramatma. He's described as a Paramatma. Yo Lokatrayam Avishya, who have entered the three worlds. Vibrita Avyaya Ishvara. Though being the controller, Ishvara, and unchanging, supports it. He maintains. So here the difference is brought out. And then the last verse. This is the Purushottam. Yasmat Shara Atitoham. Because I am superior to the Jivas. Aksharad api chottamam. To Brahman and to the Purush known as Paramatma. And even to other forms of Bhagavan. So this is a translation given by Vishnu Chakra. I am celebrated. Ata Pratitasmi in the Vedas and Smritis, Loke Vedecha, as the supreme person, Purushottam. Purusheshu Uttam Saha Purushottam. So, all the other avatars like Rama, Narsimha, so many Kapila, they are all Purushas, they are all Bhagwans, but Krishna is Purushottam. Among all the Purushas, because he is Avatari, he is Purushottam. So this is brought out. And then the result of knowing this, Yomam eva sammudo janati Purushottam sa sarvavid bhajate mam sarva bhavena bharata. He who, without bewilderment, asammuda, knows me as Bhagwan, mam eva janati Purushottam, knows everything, sa sarvavid, he worships me, mam bhajate, with complete love, sarva bhavena, O descendant of Bharata. Okay, so this we had not discussed. Soham and Dasoham. Soham was mentioned, and oneness in quality may be emphasized at times, but that doesn't deny difference in quantity. And Prabhupada brought out in the purport, we saw that with respect to sun and sun rays. And there is that famous story where Mayavadi told a disciple to meditate soham, 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 and he was meditating soham. Devotee was passing by. What is this soham? So he said, just add da. So he started saying, uttering the mantra dasoham, 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 dasoham. I'm the servant. So when this Mayavad sannyasi heard, oh, dasoham, no, you know, so he added, for that. What was that addition he added? Daso aham, sa daso aham, something. No, I don't recollect, in fact. Soham and daso aham. And then so daso aham. So daso aham, I think. And he was chanting this. And then when again the devotee passed, daso aham. He made it. I'm the servant of the servant. So like that. This story is there just to illustrate. But Soham, the explanation is very clear from Baldev Bhushan's commentary also. And Prabhupada in his commentary also makes it very clear from the difference between the sun rays and the sun. And then the result of devotional service. The result of devotional service, this is coming forth from the pastime between Maharaj Amrish and Durvasa Muni. And Krishna speaks this. Sadhu hridayam mayam sadhunam hridayam tvam madanyat te na jananti naham tebhyo managapi. Sadhavo hridayo yam mayam. I reside in the heart of the sadhus. Sadhunam hridayam tvamaham. And in the heart of the sadhus, Krishna is residing. Mad anyat na te jananti. I don't know anything apart from the sadhu. Naham tebhyo managapi. And the sadhu also doesn't know anything else except the Lord. So the result of devotional service is that the Lord himself gives to his devotee. The Lord becomes conquered by the love of his devotee and he completely gives himself to that devotee. So that is the result of devotional service. Prabhupada also brought out that point in his purport in the Isopanishads. Sa daso aham and sada sa no soham daso aham sa daso aham. I don't know the sequence. I'm not able to recollect. It's many years that I had heard it. Sadasoham, correct. Sadasoham. Dasoham became Sadasoham. And then further when the devotee came, he added Das Daso Aham. He added, correct. Das Daso Aham, correct. Yes. Okay, the last paragraph we need to discuss. So who will read the last paragraph? Surya Kund Prabhuji, you are back. Your system is working, hopefully. 16. Yes. The mantra 16, last paragraph, paragraph 8. Prabhupada speaks about the theme is this paragraph is the favor of the Lord sought by this prayer is fulfilled in pure devotional service. Okay, Suryakund Prabhuji. Yes, you can read.
Yes, Guruji. The all pervading from there also, Prabhuji.
Yes, yes.
The all pervading features of the
What happened? Your sound, audio is not functioning. Somebody else has to take up. Dhanalakshmi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
The all-pervading feature of the Lord, which exists in all circumstances of waking and sleeping, as well as in potential states, and from which the Jiva Sakti, living force, is generated as both conditioned and liberated souls, is known as Brahman. Since the Lord is the origin of both Paramatma and Brahman, he is the origin of all living entities and all else that exists. Those who know this engage at once in the devotional service of the Lord. Such pure and fully cognizant devotees of the Lord are fully attached to him in heart and soul, and whenever such devotees assemble with similar devotees, they have no engagement but the glorification of the Lord's transcendental activities. Those who are not as perfect as the pure devotees, namely those who have realized only the Brahman or Paramatma feature of the Lord, cannot appreciate the activities of the perfect devotees. The Lord always helps the pure devotees by imparting necessary knowledge within their hearts, and thus, out of his special favor, he dissipates all the darkness of ignorance. The speculative philosophers and yogis cannot imagine this because they more or less depend on their own strength. As stated in the Katha Upanishad 1.2.23, the Lord can be known only by those whom he favors and not by anyone else. Such special favors are bestowed upon his pure devotees only. Sri Isopanisad thus points to the favor of the Lord, which is beyond the purview of the Brahmajyoti.
Here Prabhupada mentions how another definition of Brahman is ultimately, the Jiva Shakti is manifest, both the conditioned and the liberated from the Lord. And ultimately, Bhagavan is the origin of Brahman and Paramatma. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam Buddha bhava samanvita. So with their heart and soul, Buddha means head and bhava means heart. Samanvita. Samyak rupena. They engage in bhajan. Matchitta matgata prana bodayanta parasparam kataschanta mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. This is how Prabhupada is translating that verse here. You can see. They glorify. And then for such devotees, what? The Lord, dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayantiti. And then Prabhupada is quoting 10.11. Tesham eva anukampartam aham ajnanam ajam tama nashayami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvata. Prabhupada is quoting that verse. So ultimately, the Lord from within gives the knowledge to the devotees, and without, through the spiritual masters. Whereas because the speculative philosophers and the yogis depend on their own strength, they cannot understand this because they aroha panta, the ascending process. They use the ascending process, but ours is the avaroha panta. And Prabhupada gives a praman to prove this, that ultimately the Lord can be known only when he bestows his favor or mercy. And only when he bestows his mercy, then we can know the Lord. And that's what this Isopanisad is pointing. The Rishi is praying for the favor of the Lord so that you can remove your dazzling effulgence and I can see you. So this verse, Katha Upanishad Prabhupada is quoting, is this famous verse, Naham Atma Pravachanena Labhyo, Na Medasa, Na Bahuna Shutena, Yam Eveshi Vnoti Ten Labhyas, Tasesha Atma Vivrunate tanum swam. The Supreme Lord is not obtained by expert explanations. Naham atma pravachanena labhyo. By vast intelligence, na medasa. Or even by much hearing, na bahuna shutena. He is obtained only by one whom he himself chooses. Yam evesha vinote tena labhyas. To such a person, he manifests his own form. Taseva atma vinoti tanum swam. So one can attain the mercy of the Lord by sincerely serving the Lord's pure devotees, pleasing the spiritual master, and by attentively hearing Shushushu Shraddhadhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Swanmat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. And then Shunvatam Sukata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Ridhantastoya Bhadrani Vidunoti Surit Satam. He is the Surit Satam and he will purify the heart so that ultimately he will reveal himself. That revelation happens at the later stages. In the later verse it is mentioned. Vidyante hriday grantis, chindyante sarva samshaya, shiyante chasya karmani, drishta eva atma ishvara. One can see oneself and the Lord also. So that's how Prabhupada concludes the purport. So any questions, any clarifications? Okay, so we stop here. Shri Upanishads ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So we will take up mantra 17 tomorrow. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.